I'm writing it as we become older and move in life, we see that they don't know everything. We see, we understand. All right? All right. Well, it is kind of yeah, it's so when does that when should that moment happen, right? Like when even from a parenting point of view, Andre, when do you think that you should help your kids to understand like that we as parents don't know everything and that they should figure things out?
We already did this.
Oh yeah? How? Sure.
Because now sometimes when I call my Alina, she she tell, okay, Papa, sorry, I'm busy because I need call now. Oh, Luca. It's from Bible, old style name. So she have kind of boyfriend and they're friends. Uh, so
Okay.
his mother friend of us. It's like almost all kids are in class. Class it's small, 10 kids. They are all together. And yesterday was birthday, Nikita's birthday, and I'm very
Yeah.
happy that we have enough money to make a cake to call all of them. Of course, Yana tells that 4 hours she clean up apartment. After that, can you imagine? After 10 or 12 kids. Yeah, but somehow it's in our families, it's freedom. And actually, I escaped from my parents when I was 17 years old. So from 17, I lived alone. I worked, and maybe once or twice I sleep in my mother place. I mean, after 17. So I just escape. I just don't speak with them maybe half of year before they recognize it. That's why because and we need to go in risky. But it's I don't know about Indian mentality. It's a little bit different. You see.
Then let's go back to when you were first of all, when you just talked about your children, they're just at top of my head, they're at this moment what around 8, right? Alina's 8, maybe.
Alina, Nikita, yesterday was his birthday. It was before yesterday, 2 days ago, it was 9. And Alina, they have difference 1.5. So Alina, we could say 7.5.
Okay, so at that moment, you already think that we should, you know, let our kids figure out life. Is that what you're saying, or as early as you can, or how do you?
I don't know. It somehow it just happened. We never push them. We never scream on them. So it's somehow Yana. She's also very open mind, very flexible. I don't know. It somehow happened. It's not because I do something right or wrong. No, it just happens. They are in freedom. I know exactly. And all parents around us tell, oh, you're maybe it's risky, you're not typical, but you do good things. And plus Nikita with his autism, we cannot push on him. So he's also very open, flexible, and he joke now. He's okay. He communicate. He joke with kids. He joke with adults. So I like how it's happened. It's really. I would say it's freedom. Of course, if Alina wants to eat extra sugar, extra sweets, it's freedom is over. I would say like this: freedom is over. Yeah, and Yana coming to be with metal on voice, becoming she stops it. Alina, stop it completely. Otherwise, I
Yeah,
will do something. But generally, if you can look inside, it's a freedom. But it's somehow it's happened.
freedom.
because we are living freedom. It comes from us. Come on, it's very
Yeah,
easy.
yeah, yeah.
If parents live in freedom, it's this is vibration. This is resonation. You can say all what you want, but if you don't do it, your kids see and never they will do it also. That's my opinion. It's not opinion, it's life rules.
Yeah.
It's something like that.
I
Yeah.
So freedom is an interesting concept, by the way. Yeah. I think, of course, as parents, we know something, right? And I think of the duty of a parent is to bring up our children to a moment where they can take care of themselves. And what age that should be is in cultures differently. I mean, look at how in the past, I don't know, marriages, young girls could happen very early, right? Like early teens. Well, I'm not sure if even what was if that was money driven or or freedom for the parents, or but I think parents should bring kids up to a level where they can take themselves. And yeah, like you, Andre, I remember clearly that when I was starting to have quarrels with my parents around the age of 15, 16, 17, it was because of the cultural clash between Netherlands and Vietnamese conservative, Asian conservative culture. And of course, because of that, um, and my parents always had this thing about, hey, we don't have girls in the house, so you boys should learn how to, you know, uh, do chores in the house and be able to cook and be able to clean and whatever, right? So I too was prepared pretty soon, pretty early, just to go out and take care of the basic stuff, like how to, organize your house, room, keep it clean, do the laundry, cook for yourself, the basic stuff, right? But then once that happens, beyond that, a lot of um, the lessons for me definitely were not the same as for my father or my mother because this was a different country. They did not grow up in the Netherlands, and this was my country where I grew up. And although the roots were Vietnamese, and a lot of the Vietnamese values were pushed onto us, it didn't mean that that was the best way to kind of run your life in Netherlands. And I had to go through quite some clashes with my parents, a lot. Um, but yeah, parents don't know everything, and still, I personally today I actually this weekend, my daughter is 11, and um, she, in my opinion, should be able to walk outside, go to the store nearby, and get groceries. However, she has this doubt, this fear of doing that alone, and I feel that's my duty to get her out there to let her do it because we live in a safe environment, and of course she should be careful. Uh, but yeah, I have the sense that I should help them to find their path earlier. And yeah, and I think, I don't know, but maybe here in the West, it's that earlier is earlier. Um, but in India, it's different. That earlier is when when is that early moment? Like when, Andre, in your view, or not Andre, Nirav, in your view, right? At what age should children leave their homes? Or not age, but what moment? What is the milestone for them to leave their home and just stay out?
I can say at least 20. So by
At
the
least
age,
20?
yeah, by the age of 20, one should become independent. At least try to be independent. I mean,
from 20.
it's not compulsory from I'm in to move from your house. It's not compulsory, but just try to be independent by the age of 20.
Okay, so 20. Okay, that sounds
Yeah,
a
but
decent age.
I think it's not possible right now in India.
No.
In India, for
Uh,
India, I can say it's 25 because by 25 you can earn some money to pay a rent. You can,
by 25.
yeah, at least 25 you can earn that much of money to afford a rent.
Find a job well, before 25 and be able to pay a rent.
Yeah.
Um, Nowadays, I think, well, how's that in your view, uh, Andre? Like, at what age do you think your kids?
Mm, I think it's not even about age. I think about
Mhm.
how they feel, themselves on family. Because I escaped from my apartment. I would say it was not Ukraine, it was Soviet Union time. So it was Soviet Union time. Even on that time, it was still Soviet Union rubles. Yeah. So it was because now 30 years difference. It's big difference between Soviet Union and we could say democracy country like Ukraine. And I escaped because I feel very bad in my apartment. I feel
Hmm.
discrimination. I feel guilty from myself. So uh, I feel that I don't love my parents. My parents don't love me. So it's like normal. It's like revolution, yeah, in my mind. So I suffer, and that's why because I when I find job, I find job. And maybe after a few months, when I receive enough money, I just move to apartment. And don't forget that it was situation when Soviet Union was broken, and I start to work as a waiter, and I make a very big money because in Soviet Union, people who work in this kind like a waiter or barman, they make money same like a pilot or professor of big university. It's a very strange situation. It's very, I need too much time to explain you why that. So, and when I was like 19, I have already car, a lot of course. What kind of car? I have my own apartment. I have enough money. And from 19, 18, 19, I start to live with girl. She was very beautiful, like Miss Kiev, second place, something like that. So that's why from 19 I becoming to live normal life, like a man's life. And my mother cannot manipulate with me because I have more money than they have. And after that it was collapse. My parents and my grandmother, they lose all money, like 300,000 rubles. It was like almost half of $1 million for that time, and they become it to be poor very quick. And I make good money, so they cannot manipulate with me, and I don't ask me about help from them. So that's why my situation is not really very typical. And I think when my kids, if my kids will be okay in my house, and in case if it will be enough space, they can live till 30 years old. Why not? It's no any rules, I guess. If they will feel good with parents, why not? Because I think to build rules, it's make a borders. So if in my mind, it's a mechanism who doesn't understand any joke. It's like if I decided that my kids must go away from apartment 18 years old, believe me, sometimes when it'll be already mind will work as a machine. I already forgot this idea, but mine becoming to push them away. I know I work with people last 5 years, sometimes five people, people per day. I know how mine is work. So it's no any rules, I think. But more, of course, to live separate is freedom. If parents not push you, if parents not aggressive, you see your Vietnamese parents, because I know your parents, they're very good and flexible, like for me. Yes, they're not like people who wants to break rules or something like this. They're quite flexible, good, but they're not my parents. They're your parents, and you know my mother because my father. So she's also very good. She continue remind Noah and Tevi. She's really very good. She's very good babysitter for my kids also. But for me, she was very
Yeah.
how to say? No, you understand. So for me, she pushed me very well. She pushed me very much. So I would say that I just becoming to be love my mother. Our meeting we must to say true, yeah. And other people when they listen our truth, they for them it can be interesting. For them it can help to grow up
Yeah.
in personal way, in spiritual way. I don't know which way. Yeah, and only now can you imagine? 50 years old, I love my mother. Only now. If you ask me 10 years ago, I tell you truly between ourselves. Yeah, no, I don't love my mother. Now I really becoming to love my mother. I forgive everything. I just understood. It's care of your kids uh, destroy a line of your behavior, something like this. It's scared. It's like they try to protect, but how they can protect life? You wake up at the morning and you see bombing everywhere. It's war is stopped, and how you can protect? And you have $5 million in your bank account. You cannot escape from country because bodyguards catch you and bring in tranches to fight.
Yeah.
Protection doesn't work anymore.
I
So
think your point about it's not per se of the age. I think that's definitely, I wrote it down, like, yeah, this is a guess. This is a kind of kind of guess thing happening here, right?
Yeah.
But I have an idea. But you're right, Andre. Like, I have a plan because I mapped my life to how I think. I took my life's path and I'm mapping it to my kids, right? But society changes. Housing, very hard, extremely hard. So now, um, in Portugal and here in Netherlands, after graduation, or even when you go to a university, it's not easy to find a house. So therefore, your world has to change, right? I'm fortunate enough that I still have a property in Netherlands, and I wish my kids to learn more, to have a freer life, to get used to the fact that they have to take care of themselves. That's what I wish to give to my kids. Um, I mean, as so, but it can change, right? We take our view of life, our own map of life, we put it onto our kids, but life changes too fast, especially now. The world changes way too fast. I don't think any parent at this moment can predict the next 5 years for how their path of their kids should be. It's so different. Um, Look at AI. AI just came in like 1.5 year, or kind of like really blasted into global lives, right? We don't know where that leads. We don't. There are fears, there are people who see the opportunities, but it's something we as parents don't know. So um, I think that the duty of a parent should be helping your kids to take care of themselves. The sooner as possible, well, could be. Um, but there is also I mean, when I look at myself, I also have the story of getting out when I was 17, living with my current wife when I was 19. So, uh, these things happen to me. It doesn't mean that that's the life of my kids, right? It doesn't mean that they'll have such a path. It just doesn't, right? So we have to be conscious of the moving parts in life, society, technology, Earth. A lot of things are happening right now, and but I definitely think having a work and understanding how work impacts your life, that should come. That should come, right? Like it shouldn't be that kids um, stay at home, have no job until they're 40th, right? That's not. I don't think that that's the purpose of bringing kids to the world. At least that's my view. Um, but helping the kids to develop the mentalities and push them a bit to go out and find that mentality, find those challenges, find their own capacity to uh, earn their own livelihood. I
Yeah.
think that is parenting. And for me, that starts in the teens because I was taught that way in the Netherlands, right? Having a job at 15, the first job at 15. Actually, before that, I already helped my parents, do homework that they brought to home, like making textile things. Like a lot of Vietnamese, when they were refugees, they would have this job where they would um, yeah, take batches of textile, and at home they would make it. And of course, when the work is brought at home as a child, there are small tasks that you can help with, right? Um, so let's move then from that point where I think we agree that it's hard to pinpoint when it should happen, but how do we look at work? Like when should when should you start to work? I think that's an interesting topic, has many differences. Nirav, in your case, like now that you're 31, right, Nirav?
Yes.
Um, looking back, how do you see that moment? Like when you wanted a job or should have found a job, or how do you see that?
For a job means I've been trying to get a proper job since 5 years. So before,
Seems
yeah, 5 to 6 year. So before five to
okay.
six year, I should have at least any job. So I didn't have any security job wise. That's why I couldn't move from my parents house because
Right.
yeah, I did some normal jobs here, but then I could not afford this housing renting price. You can say you can do a normal job here in my city in west side of this India. You can do a very normal job and earn 15K. Let's say it's 15 around 15K and rent is 10K. So then you will not have anything left. Then you cannot survive alone. I mean,
Well,
just think about
let's
the students who just completed graduation and doing this 15K salary job. They wouldn't afford this rental of houses.
yeah. So I think your like Indian um, Is that what you call a fresher who just came out or
Yes, fresher,
graduates?
fresher.
Freshers, right?
Yeah.
Might earn 15, 20K rupees, right? Indian
Yeah.
rupees.
Yes. Not 20,
But
I can say around 50, 15, around 15. Not 20. Yes.
uh, in West India, in Gujarat, right?
Yeah.
Um,
We means I and Robin both were electrical engineer, and we couldn't find any job which provides more than 10K for us as an electrical engineer.
wow.
So how can we afford rent? Rent is also 10K, so that's a problem. That's why we kept switching these our roles and finding some other things. That's why we moved into different thing. This IT, let's say this IT.
So a room costs 10K
Yeah,
a
per
month.
month. Yes, it's around 8 to 10K, you can say.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I would say the challenge is here the same. I would say at this moment, if in Portugal, like Portuguese.
I mean, you just uh, take an example of Robin when he just started work. He was doing this IELTS coaching,
Mhm.
and he was earning less than 10K there.
Yes.
Yes,
Uh, a room plus utilities will cost at
yes.
least 450 nowadays.
Oh,
But that's also this is the 50%. So this is 50% of monthly income, right? And I think that is the issue in life. That I mean, what is rent? Rent is a building, right?
yeah.
Um,
That's
and these
why.
buildings, yeah. I mean, it's not like it's man-made, right? This rent, this number, it is man-made. I mean, I think 50 years ago, 25% of your monthly income or 30% could have been enough for your. But here in your case, you're even describing, 50 to 67% of monthly income, right?
Right.
And I think this is indeed the issue that nowadays, people who own a house and rent it out, can like they want to have it as sleeping money so that they don't need to work, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where the connection get lost, right? Like um, yeah, now it's a way of thinking like, oh, I should own property, and if I can own more, then I can get more money from others instead of thinking about how the others are building their lives, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're in. I Yeah, I see it also happening with my kids. They will encounter that, but in Netherlands, I think it will be different. In Netherlands, the minimal salary. Um,
In India, they used to say by age of 40, you should have at least one home, your own home. How can that be possible?
uh,
The price is too much. And that's why parents would hesitate to leave you, to leave their children's to go and live somewhere. Because rent is a half of the monthly salary, then how their children would survive in this world. That's why parents somehow think that don't go to some other houses, just live here and enjoy.
Well, I definitely think that owning property is gives freedom, right? Like that
Yes.
is you need to own some property, your
Yes.
own,
And
or
even
else.
in the
Mhm.
in India, in the arranged marriages, you should have at least your home, means your own home, whether it's your parents or your own. You should have at least a decent home. Otherwise, no one will give their daughter to you. Still today, two or three of my friends struggling with this issue. They do not have their own home. They have nice salary, but they do not own their home, so they cannot find a girl to marry. They are not interested in love marriages, by the way. So that's the issue.
Falling for money. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I I guess falling for money is maybe actually quite natural if you take money as a sign of power, strength, right? Like in nature, I think animals also, have this thing of you follow the lead of the pack, or you try to find a mate who is strong,
Yeah,
correct? Or
right.
at least the women, the female version of it. Okay. Well, you're on your path. That's great to hear. And I think, um, you should find your steps upwards, right, Nirav? Like Robin is trying, and now, of course, it's even when the optimal situation is still if you can find a job that you can execute in a higher economy, but live in a economy that has lower costs, right? That is the
Yeah,
best. I mean, if you can make that work, it works.
yeah. Sometimes,
Um,
sometimes I would like to go to Bangalore or Mumbai, IT hub,
yeah,
but there also you can find that rental is very high, double than this. So it's very
it's
hard to stay there
yes,
also.
yeah. I think for you, I mean, and for many youngsters everywhere, it's can you stay in your relatively cheaper environment, even if it's your parents' environment, and but somehow find a living, earn a living that is, somehow remote, if you can, right? If you can,
Yes.
or find a great restaurant that has huge tips, and you can make better salaries. Um, all
And I'm,
right, Andre,
yeah.
go ahead. Yeah,
No, no, I'm also thinking because I am living in this such a environment, this Indian environment. So sometimes I have a thought, means my mind is thinking like that. If in a future, in near future, what if suppose my daughter uh, will say to me that I want to marry this guy to love of her life. So that time also my mind is thinking like this environment that what if that guy is not earning much? Then I will say no, no, don't marry this guy. Just wait for some time until he is earning more. Because how can you both guys survive here? Because rental is high, earning is less here. So I have to think many possibilities that time. Whether he is doing some good job or IT job, I have to take care of this thing. I have to take consider of many things in future. Just think
I
about,
think the
yeah.
I think the first actually question should be, do I want children? I mean,
No one wants
that's also.
children, but sometimes
Hmm?
when no one wants children around their whole life just playing around them. But when I see children of my friends, then I don't know. I felt happy sometime.
Sure, there's happiness, but there's also a lot of stress, right?
Yeah,
That
right.
comes along with it. But that might be another topic. Andre, anything happened in last week that you want to dive into?
I don't think so. Something happened only my Nikita birthday, and I'm very glad that everything okay. And really nothing like, and I'm very glad that it's nothing actually, because truly, like, undermined every morning when my wife call me. If she call me, it's still everything okay. You understand what I mean? It's everything okay. So with them, and I'm very glad about that. But
Okay.
generally, it's all last week was rainy, so I just try to go to buy bread. It's not rainy, and when I go out from grocery store, it's already full full power rain. So I don't take umbrella, and few minutes already I'm wet. It's rain season. Yeah. So something like that.
So, all right. I actually, I think if nothing happens that you feel like that bothers you, or I mean, it could also be inspiration, right? And then in this case, your son has yet another year. This time, you're further away from him, of course, but next time it's not. I mean, that will be corrected in a few months, I guess, right? Um, Yesterday, I saw a post. It was how we were. It was a post showing um, how we humans let animals go back into the wild. Yeah, and how that, of course, gives a good feeling. However, almost the post said that we, except for 5%, we have captured all, um, you know, animals in one way or the other. You know, kept them, did tests with them, whatever, right? Um, and it made me think that we somehow in life, we humans, have this power to decide over these things, right? What will happen with complete other, not only other species like animals, right? We have that power. That's a huge amount of power, right? Often when we look at people with power, we can complain about how they're doing well or bad for the country, correct? Where if we look at the world, humans are the ones with the power, and we should definitely also judge us how well or not we're doing for the world around us, right? And in thinking that, I think about freedom all the time. I talk about all the time. In this case, this post letting animals go taught brought also discussion like, but how free are we then, right? Or are we trained by the system to, you see, the system to um, pay that it's okay to keep paying more for real estate? I think it's wrong. I think that clearly shows that capitalism has failed in that purpose. I mean, there's plenty of buildings around. For me, I live in an area where there's plenty of buildings, but all vacation homes, right? Not all, but maybe 80% are vacation homes. Can you imagine? Like there's a shortage of buildings, but buildings are built to sell for more money, and we don't sell to the poor because they don't have money. So we're not building for the poor. That is capitalism, correct? Like, the people who have money to invest, they have the right to choose and build for for them to earn more money. So that, I mean, that is reality of life, right? The system that we live in, I don't think it's correct. I still dislike the fact that um, as life is more complex, that nowadays families have to earn with two salaries. Both have to work, or else you cannot make life work. I think that's a sad, like reality. And if we take that line and we extrapolate that line, it means that two jobs is not good enough. One of you has to have two jobs. So then there are three jobs, because this 50% that we just discussed, right? This 50%, where is that? 50% here, 50, 67%, right? What if, because of the current system, this becomes 80%? How is that possible? So these things do let me think, and of course, I'm fortunate to have been on the better side where this number might have only been 25% of what I earned. Now this year, it's definitely seems like 50% is the regular target. But like if we follow this path, we cannot be free. If we follow the paths that the systems, whether it's the financial system or whether it's the system that we have to have children, right? We cannot be free. I think we're only free when we are able to think out of the box and say, whatever I know in life doesn't need to be how life should be. If I am in peace, we have to have peace to think it through. We cannot think through these very complex questions when we're in a rush under stress. And I think that's currently what's happening with the world is that we are in a lot of shit, right? All kinds of wars, migrations, nature, ecological, whatever. And as long as we are in stress, it's very hard to come up with, out of the box solutions. So therefore, Nirav, I do hope that you, you learn more about life, and that you taste different ways of being free. But if you map your life against the path that your parents know it, that society has taught you, then you already see that it's hard for you to gain freedom. You have to think out of the box, gain freedom. I personally hope that for the mental state of my kids, for their own development spirituality, of their spirituality, of their freedom, they somehow find a way to stay out of the rat race, the stress. Because if you get into the rat race, you're going to follow the system. And if the system is doing this, and these numbers go to 70, 80%, then the system is not correct.
Yeah, you're right about this rat race thing. So when we came out of high school, me and Robin both didn't aware about any courses, any after means this graduation courses. So we did not aware of these courses. We just enroll this electrical engineer. We didn't know anything about it because all the people that time were saying that this is the evergreen line electrical engineer. So you should have picked this. So what happened is some college offered me IT in computer engineering, but I refused that time because people around me saying that pick this electrical engineer because it is evergreen line. So I refused to go into computer engineer that time, 10 years
Hmm.
ago.
Well, I wouldn't say per se whether electrical or computer is better or worse. if you look at how the world is changing now, what I see here in the developed countries is that electrical engineers are extremely in high demand
Yes.
because of the energy transition,
Yeah, you're right.
right?
I was saying because of these things, people were saying that could impact on our mind.
Yes, but I think that's where we, I think, how do we get to a state where we can really take through as much as information as we can get and make the best decisions for us as we can get, right? Part of that is collecting information. How you said, like, you and Robin selected this electrical engineering,
Randomly.
but then didn't know about, that's poor selection. That's poor information gathering. That's on all kinds of fronts quite poor, right?
Even our parents didn't know about this, aware about these things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So why do it's like, so if people tell you like it's good to go out and chop all the forests, let's do it. Or in the Second World War, it's good to kill all weird people, Jewish, gays, gypsies. Many Europeans just did. So that is not freedom, right? That is just doing what the system tells us.
Yeah.
And now, yeah, I mean, I am very progressive, but even now at the schools of my kids, there are, I'm being taught a lesson about how many sexualities there are, like asexual, pansexual. I'm like, what are these words? For me, is that freedom? I don't know. So, you know, but I do like that kids think by themselves what is a better fit for them. And I think this lesson was also reiterated by old colleague of mine in Barcelona, Alex. He said he wishes to earn enough and make sure that his kids don't have to make a choice under pressure, that they can figure out life uh, before that they have to. But just to give the example, at Amazon you can buy a prefab house, a decent house. There are all kinds of videos about it now for $30,000, right? Now you might say that for in the developed countries, $30,000 is actually quite cheap for a house, correct? A decent house. That's a way to escape a bit of the system if you can follow that path, right? Or you make the choice, no, I'll go and live somewhere where I can, I've made 30,000, but I'll go and live somewhere like in Japan. You can buy a house for $2,000.
Oh,
Old houses.
I
You
should go
can.
there.
In Japan, um, yeah, if you look at it, many old homes. So the older a home is, it's interesting. There, an old home will lose its value. New homes will have the highest value, but as the older the home gets, the value decreases. You see how different that world is? It's it puts a whole different dynamics into society, right? So my point is, you can be free to make very out of the box choices that give you freedom. You can. We can. For that, no matter if we are rich or poorest or richest, we have to make the right choices to have the freedom. Because many of the rich people aren't free themselves, right? They make choices to invest more, to borrow more because they have collateral, but then they put themselves in more debts. So, yeah, being free I think, is about us seeing how the system is and understanding how we can step outside of that system, right?
Correct.
Um, my wife recently said, "Huh, I think we are more happy here than if we would have stayed in the Netherlands. Because here in Portugal, my we live on one salary, mine, right? Um, at least there's more balance in where I know that at least one parent has proper attention for the kids, and here we don't have all the social pressure of oh dinner here, birthday there. All these social pressures are not freedom. They can be fun, but they can also be a lot of stress.
Yes.
And Andre, is that also what you have felt like when you started to roam the world? Because you've actually traveled the world on the cruise ships and just be, well, free, but not free in the boat, I guess. But how, if you look at back at that now, was that freedom for you when you roamed the world and lived on a cruise ship? And
Uh, Actually, I 100% agree with everything when we talk about this today, and it's very interesting, deep uh, questions. About my work on cruise line vessels, it's also funny because uh, when I can say that I was in Seychelles, I was in Nigeria, I was in North Cape, and even many Americans, we could say that they're richest people. They say, "Oh, you visited Seychelles," because for them it's expensive. They never was. Yeah, Venice. Oh no, Venice is okay. It's for wedding party. Venice, it's very popular through Americans. Yeah, but the interesting question that now I have peaceful and freedom in my mind. So, and that's why now I'm okay. I would say that I cannot say that I'm totally happy because I don't have enough money. I cannot do what I want. I don't have car, for example, because I like to, when I have a car, to drive somewhere. But I'm okay. Even I would say that I'm happy on that moment when I smoke cigars that cost 300, $100, and when I drink crystal champagne that cost $300, not because I bought, because I steal from bar, because I work in a very expensive American yacht, yeah, and on same Seychelles, and I was totally unhappy because my mind was in Kiev. I'm here, I'm there, I'm scared of future. Mind was sick. So that's why I think our freedom not outside. It's all clever books told us about that. Bible, Bhagavad Gita, Talmud, Quran, etc. Yeah. So freedom inside and freedom that just accept my life for the moment. I want to have more money, more family near me, something else maybe I would like to have. I don't want to tell you what. I keep it in secret, but I don't have possibility to have that now, and that's why I don't have it. So I need to live my daily life same way like I live. So I just need continuously to live in my daily life 1 hours goes in second hours, but with a peace of mind. That's my it's I would say that's in spiritual ways it calls open secret. And I know when I drive with a Touareg that cost more than $100,000, and when I lived in Vorzil house that was 300 meters or even more, and I was totally unhappy. I was the last person in the world. It was really I suffer. I and I'm trying to find. answer why it's so bad. I have a lot of money, I have everything. Why I'm almost die in my mind? See, so it is no any rules. But we need to talk about that because continuously when we talk about that, uh, we can discover way how to open the secret, and everybody have own secret because it's all different genetic and different condition. You was in India, but you was in different India. You lived in a nice hotel. You was in office. If you will see Madras or some shit place in Mumbai, believe me, it's not. It's different India. Yeah. Or if you, when I was in India, I talked with rich Indians. They look more like Italians. Yeah. And from 300-400 years they have a lot of money. Yeah, they speak excellent English. They graduated British schools, British universities, and they come in nightclub with the last model BMW. You can say, oh look, Indians looks very good. Yeah, but that's only some part of New Delhi, some part of big cities, nightclubs, expensive restaurant. So, and actually it's same with everywhere, like in Ukrainians. That's why I think still freedom, it's like, I could say that we cannot say about Portugal. It's a post country in Europe. That's why it's no good example. But Netherlands, Germany, or even Poland, yeah, it's give people freedom. Last time when I was Poland, taxi driver and Uber can make 2,000 euros. Yeah, but one room apartment costs same like here, 500 euros. Yeah. So, but that's exactly 25% of salary. See, and we cannot live under the bridge or on the TV boxes. Oh, okay, we can, but I hope I hope it's never happens. So that's why who knows where is this freedom? Yeah, who knows?
You're muted, huh?
I like it a lot. This spiritual open secret. Um, it's there. It's there for everyone to embrace. But that's the challenge that we have, right? With everything we see around us, with all the marketing, with all the influences telling how to have a better life, uh, you know, we can be free if we choose not to need it. That is a real truth. We can choose to do so. Um, I live in the West. I could lease new cars, but I choose not to lease new cars, right? I choose to go with old cars and extend their life as long as I can. Um, I choose not to have my kids go to private school. I choose to have them go to public schools. Because if I would not make those choices, my wife had to work. Uh, but even then, Algarve is getting more expensive. So the challenges are arising. And so we have to continuously check where we are in life and what is our surrounding doing. Can we stay free, or can we try to get free? And even when we get to freedom, can we stay in freedom? All right. I think that was a lot about freedom today, guys. Great work. Great or way to start the work week. But yes, let's do it for freedom, and let's keep helping each other think about freedom in a very, you know, sustainable, out of the box, free way, really free way, not the freedom to buy things, right? Because that's actually, I don't think the freedom to buy something, I'm not sure that that's freedom. Okay. All right.
Freedom to fly,
Have a good.
fly, I can
Hmm?
say. Sometimes I
What?
feel like, we are living in a big cage, and we are birds. We are flying inside the cage, and we are happy. We don't know outside what will be outside the cage, and we do
Yeah,
not think.
because yeah, hmm that is true. Sometimes we get bored of that cage,
Yeah.
but in that cage we can be free. But uh, yeah, I definitely think that you and Robin should definitely see more of the world before you understand what version of freedom you would like to have, or what version of not freedom that you would like to have. So
Yeah.
uh, okay, all right. Thanks, guys. Have a great start of the week. I'll see you guys online. Bye bye.